I'm Margaret Conley. This is Asia's Business. Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz says China could become the company's top market. I sat down with him here in Shanghai to talk about how the world's largest coffee shop operator plans to target a country of tea drinkers.
I've been coming here consistently now for a decade, and I'd say for the first 8 or 9 years, most of our customers, to be honest with you, were tourists and expats. Today, though, we clearly have turned the corner in terms of the core customers are not only local Chinese, but lots of them. China has become a highly profitable market for us, and what we now see is the opportunity to really expand the business. We've said publicly at least 1,500 stores by 2015. We also will triple the workforce from 10 to 30,000. You know, building a brand here in China is a highly complex undertaking. In fact, I would compare it over the last few years to something like the gold rush, where there's so many companies, Western brands, rushing in. And I think, to be honest with you, many of them are not going to succeed. They don't understand the importance of local relevancy and the respect necessary, not only to the consumer, but the employee.
And talking about the customer base, you guys are expanding into the smaller cities.
Yeah. The big surprise is that we are doing as well, and in some cases better, in those markets than we are in Shanghai or Beijing. And so the confidence we now have is we're in 48 cities. We'll get to over 70, maybe 75 by 2015. And the other thing is, it seems to be a rite of passage for some of the mayors and the local people to get a Starbucks in their local city or town. I think what's really important is we don't want to grow the company for growth's sake. We want to do it very thoughtfully. This is a marathon here. It potentially could be the biggest market in the world for Starbucks. We're noted in America for being the first company to provide health insurance and equity in the form of stock options to our employees in the U.S. We're bringing many of those programs here in China. And I think people are stunned that it's not something we have to do, it's something we want to do, and it's part of the DNA of the company.
Starbucks wants China to be the second biggest market by 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
By 2014, we'll have more stores in China than any other market in the 58 countries we're currently in, other than the U.S. And so that should tell you about the ambition we have.
When do you think China will become the biggest market for Starbucks?
I don't know when. I think ultimately we could have thousands of stores, but I don't know when. But the flip side of that is that we are accelerating the growth of stores in the U.S. again. And the stores, the 12-month anniversary of stores we've just opened in America, are performing better than any class in the last decade, despite the downturn in the economy and consumer confidence. So the brand in America is showing such resiliency, and I think as a result of that, we're being more aggressive in opening up across the country in the U.S. as well.
Okay, John Culver, president of Starbucks China, said earlier this month that China offers the highest financial return among all markets.
Did he say that?
Does this mean profit margins in China are the widest in the world and wider than the U.S.?
Well, let me kind of clarify that. On balance, that's true, but we've got 7,000 to 8,000 stores in the U.S. We have less than 600 on the mainland, but on a percentage basis, the returns we're getting in China are higher than any other place in the world.
To that point about prices in China for Starbucks, they were raised at the beginning of the year. What is your pricing strategy in China?
Well, this year was an anomaly for anyone in the coffee industry, and I say that because in my entire career, 3 decades long, I never witnessed record high coffee prices for no other reason than speculation. And I was very outspoken about this to anyone who would listen, and I've been proven right. There was never a supply and demand problem on any level, and yet we saw prices go to record highs, and now, after 18 months, they're down to almost record lows with no change in supply and demand. And so as a result of that, everyone in the coffee business, unfortunately we included, had to take a price increase in order to buy coffee, and we buy coffee long. And so we're now sitting with inventory that will be in a much better position towards the end of 2012 and much better position in 2013. But we did have to take a modest increase in China, which was reflective of the significant rise in commodity costs. And I think over time, there should be some legislation that examines the volatility in commodity, especially food prices, when there's no indication whatsoever for food supplies to be anything other than speculative practices. And we saw 5 commodities at once go to record highs, and very unfortunate for the consumer.
And Starbucks is okay with inventory, right? You guys are covered for the next...
Yeah, we are in very good shape. We're obviously beginning to take advantage of lower priced coffee, but as I said, we got to work through the high inventory costs that we have. But with each quarter that passes, we'll be in a better position, and in 2013 be in a very good position.
Groceries.
Yeah.
The word coffee was taken off the Starbucks logo. Starbucks seems to be looking more and more like Kraft Foods with products in the supermarket.
I would never say we look like Kraft Foods.
Supermarket aisles.
Okay.
What's the ultimate goal for Starbucks with regards to groceries?
Yeah, well, let me try and explain it. Starbucks has been in business for 41 years and has built a set of assets that are very unusual and quite extraordinary in terms of ways in which we can leverage those assets to get into other businesses and other channels of distribution. So it's a long-winded answer. I'm sure you're going to cut it, but here it is. So we have built a national and now a global footprint of 17,000 retail stores that we own and operate, unlike a franchise system. As a result of that, we have demonstrated the ability to introduce new products, sub-brands, Via being a great example, in our stores, create a loyal position among our customers for those products, and then take those products to a channel of distribution that is more ubiquitous, in this case grocery. So Via started in the U.S. stores, and 8 months later, it was in 70,000 points of distribution and succeeded in grocery in building now close to a $300 million business as a result of the success it enjoyed at U.S. retail. So we believe that we have this blueprint for growth, that we can introduce product in our stores that may not necessarily be coffee related. That's why we took coffee off. But make no mistake, we are a coffee company. That's our core business and that's our purpose. But we are going to create new food and beverage categories that will be introduced in our stores. So in the U.S., we began for the first time after the acquisition of Evolution Juice, rolling out ready-to-drink Evolution fresh juice in Starbucks stores in the state of Washington. What will come after that is the state of California, and then ultimately we'll get the whole country in our stores. After that...
When?
In the next 12, 18 months or so. And then after that, on a parallel basis, we'll begin introducing the highest quality juice in the world in grocery stores. But the key issue here is that we're not just creating adjacent products or categories for the sake of growth. This is very strategic, very targeted, in this case, health and wellness. And strategically, we took our name off the Starbucks and coffee off because, one, the iconic logo of Starbucks is recognized and respected around the world. And if we have the word coffee on it, it doesn't give us the freedom necessary to get into other categories. And so the other piece of this blueprint for growth is that we've been able to create best-of-class capabilities in social and digital media. We're the leading consumer brand on Facebook, Twitter, and Foursquare, giving us the unique ability to lower the cost of customer acquisition and create a higher level of engagement with our customers.
Are you in social media here in China and Weibo and all that?
Yeah, we've started that now, and we've moved people from the U.S. to help us. And our goal, I think, is to really demonstrate that traditional advertising and marketing is going to have to be secondary to the capability and discipline, and we are building a global best-of-class enterprise around that.
So what are some of the other products that we're going to see in the grocery stores in the U.S. and then China?
The only thing I can say today is that the category of great interest to us within food and beverage is something we're already doing, but not as big as we're going to do it in the future, and that's Tazo tea. So we have a $1 billion business in Tazo, yet it's been an afterthought, more or less, and we have great plans to kind of integrate Tazo into the health and wellness category that we're so interested and intrigued in as a company. And Tazo will get a big level of investment and resources on a go-forward basis. But within the category of health and wellness, you're going to see Starbucks play in a big way.
Tazo tea in the States as well as overseas in
Yes.
China?
Yes, you will see Tazo play a bigger role for Starbucks around the world. Stay tuned.
What about products in China, in the grocery stores?
I think that we've got to build out a a bigger footprint within China, and I think thousands of stores before we start really getting into the grocery business. You might see us do it in an isolated way by a strategic relationship that we might develop. Stay tuned for that.
Like?
But not throughout the country. I mean, there's great demand for Starbucks products, and we want to be very thoughtful about it.
And e-commerce as well is a big deal here.
E-commerce is, we've had opportunities. I've sat down with Jack Ma a couple of times the last couple of years. But I think, again, the art of all this is in thoughtful sequencing and not getting ahead of yourself. We want to build the brand based on the experience in our stores and then create demand with the right products and the right distribution. Give us some time.
K-Cups.
Yeah.
You're going to bring those to China?
Well, you're asking me some tough questions. What I would say is that we're getting ready to introduce an extraordinary, stunning piece of equipment called Verismo. And that is a proprietary product that we're going to bring to the marketplace in the U.S. this holiday season. What I would say is that we are very intrigued with the possibility of bringing that to China in 2013. This category of single cup coffee and the relationship and the trust we have with our customers within our stores, this could be a very compelling business proposition for Starbucks. So the fall, U.S., and I think hopefully 2013 will bring that product and category to China. That's not K-Cups. That's our own proprietary product.
What about Evolution Fresh that you were talking about that you just opened up?
Yeah.
Congratulations. When are you going to bring that worldwide?
To my surprise, the biggest question I've been getting from our own people is about Evolution Juice coming to China. We're only about 120 days into this acquisition, and we got a lot to figure out in the U.S. But I think it's intriguing to think about what we could do with fresh juice and those products here in China, but not anytime soon.
Coming up after the break, we'll get more from CEO Howard Schultz and ask him about Starbucks' plans to grow coffee in China. Stay with us. Back to Asia's business. Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz has fought to bring back the brand that 4 years ago he said had lost its edge. He shares with us the company's latest plans for innovation. India.
Yes.
Planning to open your first store August or September. What's the date? And we heard you may have 50 stores within a year.
Well, first off, we've waited a long time to enter India, and not unlike China, and maybe more so, it is a very complicated market to do well. And I think we waited because there was one partner in particular that we really went after, and that was Tata. For two reasons. The first, may surprise you, it's really the values of that company are so extraordinary. The benevolent leader of Ratan Tata and what he and his family has done over many years to build the kind of company that gives back in such a significant way spoke to who we are. And then secondarily, their capability in terms of supply chain, obviously the Taj hotels and the real estate that they own. And so we're going to have great success with India. Our partner has announced 50 stores. That didn't come from us. But I think we'll open up.
Are you disagreeing with that?
I'm not disagreeing it, but I think he said it, so I'm going to have to live up to it. I think the first store will probably open in the fall. I don't know exactly when, but we're deep into the real estate selection process. We've got a great team of people that is now in India. It's going to be crazy. Because
some of your competitors are actually stepping things up, right?
Yeah.
What is it? Cafe Coffee Day is starting to...
Yeah, there's always competitive noise and pressure, but from where we sit, I think we have an opportunity to define the market, and our commitment is that we don't want to enter any market that we're not going to be the leader in. We intend to be the leader in India.
What about top-line strategy, just really quick? Because I know in China you started up in the Tier 1 cities, big cities, moved to smaller. Is it going to be like that in India, you think?
Well, I think there's many more similarities in terms of primary and secondary markets. However, the infrastructure issues and the supply chain issues really play a big role in where we're going to go and when. So I think we're going to stay in the core markets in the early stages. And I think we're going to get great advice and counsel from Tata.
Okay, Yunnan.
Yeah, I was there. I saw it firsthand.
Let's talk about that experience. When are we going to see grown
Yeah.
in China Starbucks coffee?
Can I tell you what our vision is first for this and why we're doing this?
Sure.
Well, as you know, this has been the primary area for the most extraordinary high-quality tea for centuries. And we discovered the soil and the conditions were perfect for growing high-grade Arabica coffee. Now, Starbucks has been in the coffee business now for 41 years, and we've seen probably 3 coffees, Jamaica Blue Mountain, Kona, let's say 2, Jamaica Blue Mountain and Kona for the most part, develop a iconic brand for coffee from those 2 regions. And I would say, I'll be criticized for this, there's no doubt about it, that those coffees over the many years are not as good as they once were, and it's more form than substance today. Oh, I'm going to be killed for that. So when we looked at the coffee from Yunnan and the soil conditions, the dream scenario for us is, what if Starbucks, in conjunction with the municipality of the Yunnan government, could together create an iconic coffee in China, and we could use Starbucks scale to bring it around the world and make the Chinese people really proud of this area, which has for the most part been tea, but we can bring this to the world. And that is our intent. I can't tell you exactly when we're doing, you know, it's a big investment to grow coffee from scratch and to do it the right way. And it's not because there's any scarcity issues for coffee. We recognize we can do something quite unique here. And I think 3 to 5 years is probably how long it's going to take from when we started.
What were your impressions when you were there in Yunnan, southwest China?
You know, we spent a fair amount of time there. The work ethic of the farmers, the unique relationship of families who have been growing agricultural products for many years. And then even in this case, which shocked us, many of these people knew Starbucks, and we were in a position where we could partner with families and growers and do something in a very big way. And I think, as I said, I've been there, and we've had many Starbucks people over many visits now go there. And I think the other thing we're going to do is we're going to build an agronomy office. And I think this is a very important point in this area. And we're going to do it for the primary reason of educating the farmer on sustainable practices and the best possible way to grow this coffee.
Okay, VIA.
Yes.
This is your big initiative.
Yeah, one of them.
One of them.
Yes.
Started in 2009. Took 20 years to develop.
Yes.
You're betting big in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
You started selling it in Greater China in April of last year, and you believe it's going to be a $1 billion brand.
VIA will be a $1 billion brand. I think this is a great case study on the entrepreneurial DNA of Starbucks, the need for innovation, and really, I think, demonstrating great curiosity and willing to make a big bet. But here's the facts. We're talking about a $24 billion global category that has not had any innovation for over 50 years, other than packaging, dominated by one great company, Nestle. But we felt all along that we could bring something to the consumer, and that is the quality of Starbucks coffee. The proof of it had to be in the cup, and that we could create a single-serve solution that people would carry in their wallet and take it on the go. It's already close to a $300 million business. We're not even close to being able to introduce this across the globe. And we're just getting started with relevant category development. What I mean by that is that in Asia, we recognize, as well as other parts of the world, that instant coffee not only has not been good, but the primary reason that people have bought instant coffee is convenience and 2-in-1 or 3-in-1, which is sugar in coffee or milk in coffee. And the issue there is that most of the milk is just wretched tasting, sour, not fresh, not natural. We're going to bring tremendous innovation to the dairy category within VIA, and that's the next level of innovation that's coming very soon.
Can you talk about that for all of us people who live in China and have to endure that?
Yeah, I think relatively soon we will bring those products to this marketplace. But VIA is in the nascent stage of what it's going to be, and that's a great case study for us internally. And there's other things that are coming that will be very interesting as well.
But the dairy products, you think a year?
I think within a year. Yeah.
Within a year. Great,
Yes.
great. Okay, What about you're expanding your jobs fund, right? You said
Yes.
Google and Banana Republic are
Yeah.
now on board. What other, any updates since that?
Well, we just announced Google and Banana Republic. I can't give you news on everything.
It's been a couple days.
You know, what we've said publicly is after we announce Google and Banana Republic, there will be more corporate partners that we will bring in. But I think we're feeling very gratified that we've been able to raise millions of dollars. We've been able to fund small and existing businesses that did not have access to credit. And I think demonstrating that companies can make a difference.
This goes back to your point of the number of jobs that you're adding, right?
Yeah, we're gonna triple the number of jobs in China in the next 3 years, going from 10 to 30,000. And we're also adding, you know, a significant amount of new jobs in the U.S. We're remodeling 1,700 stores in America over the next 12 months, opening at least 200 stores, and as I said earlier, inaugurating a new roasting plant for soluble coffee, which will support the growth of VIA. And I think we take that responsibility very seriously, that citizens and corporations have a bigger responsibility today to try and help the country, in this case the U.S., and the people who are being left behind. And I've been, you know, pretty vocal about my concern about the level of unemployment in America and the gap between the haves and the have-nots.
That goes back to lessons learned, if you will, right? From your first act and your second act?
You know, when I came back as a CEO in January of 2008, the country was going through a cataclysmic financial crisis in the U.S. And certainly Starbucks, through its own self-induced mistakes, had to right the ship. And I think getting back to the core business, getting back to putting the customer at the center of everything we do, and demonstrating a high level of trust with our people and our customers, that Starbucks could be the kind of company that that would be valued not only for its revenue and its profit, but what it stood for. At the height of the financial crisis, there was great pressure on us to cut costs, and in fact, you know, we were under great pressure to cut the health care benefit at Starbucks, which is a big number at the time, about $250 million, and we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that because the fabric of the company, its culture and its values, was about doing the right thing for our people. And I've said all along that no company anywhere in the world can exceed the expectations of its customers unless the leaders of the company are deeply committed to exceeding the expectations of its people. And that can't only be in good times. And I think we were tested like no other time in our history, and I think we've proven to our people in the marketplace that one of the reasons why we've succeeded at such a high level financially is because the values of the company not only were preserved but enhanced and embraced by our customers.
What's Act 3?
Act 3. I think this is a great time for our company, but you know, I wrote a memo last week to all our people, and what I said was that we had great reason as a company to celebrate the success that we have enjoyed. But let's not use the stock price or any of the great press the company is receiving as a measuring stick for this moment in time. And the reason is that success is not an entitlement, it has to be earned. And it's very difficult to build a great enduring company with such significant changes in the macroeconomic environment as well as in the seismic changes of consumer behavior. And that we have to work extraordinarily hard every day, not unlike your company, Bloomberg, to push for reinvention and self-renewal and not embrace the status quo. And so there's no third act. I think it's a continuation of doing things the right way and being the kind of leader that is respectful of the heritage and tradition of the company, but continues to push the organization to find new ways to be highly relevant to an ever-changing global consumer.
From Seattle to Shanghai, Howard Schultz drives Starbucks' growth and reinvention, and he's determined to not embrace the status quo. That's it for this edition of Asia's Business. Until next time, take care.